It's hard to believe that 18% or 1.2 billion people around the world today live without electricity. When the sun goes down, they're forced to live by firelight. Now, the primary reason for this is an economic one. Businesses cannot justify spending a massive amount of money to build a power plant, then transmission lines, and then distribution lines because they won't see a return on investment for many, many, many years to come. Similarly, society can't justify these extremely high capital costs on humanitarian grounds alone. So today we're going to talk about how we got here, and then I'm going to present a new approach to ending energy poverty around the world. Our story begins over 100 years ago, and like most stories do, we have two protagonists. First, we have Thomas Edison. He's well known for being the first person to invent the electric light bulb, but he's also a huge proponent of DC energy. DC energy is the kind of energy you get from a battery. George Westinghouse, on the other hand, was a huge proponent of AC energy. Now, these two would engage in a huge technical battle. And many say the turning point of that technology battle was the 1893 Chicago World Fair. This is because Westinghouse's AC technology was selected over Edison's DC technology, primarily because at the time, AC technology was significantly cheaper. Little did they know it at the time, but Westinghouse's AC technology at the Chicago World Fair would dictate the electric utility growth, development, and even business models for the next century. Skirmishes would continue through the start of the 20th century, but the die was cast. AC was adopted, and we continue to use AC to this day. In the 20th century, it was easy to increase or decrease the voltage of AC power using transformers. Now, this made it possible to build very large and efficient power plants, then connect them to high voltage transmission lines, then to medium voltage distribution lines, and finally into your home using low voltage. This electric infrastructure strategy has proven to be very reliable. The grid provides electricity when you want it, regardless of whether you're in a condo or a mansion. But all this is very expensive. Coal plants can cost between $2 and $7 billion, depending on their size. Nuclear power plants are north of $5 billion. Natural gas power plants can range between 60 and hundreds of millions of dollars. And they take a long time to build. And once you do build them, you still have to pay the ongoing cost of fuel to generate electricity, as well as build transmission and distribution lines to get the power to the consumer. In the developed world, it is not uncommon for the high voltage transmission lines to cost $1 million per mile. And if you want those transmission lines to be underground, you're looking at somewhere between 5 to 10 times that price. It is typical for the medium voltage distribution lines to cost $200,000 per mile. While it is true that this electric utility infrastructure is extremely successful and reliable, I'm sure you're also realizing that it is incredibly expensive. And despite this cost, developing countries are still pursuing this antiquated electrification strategy, even though they have extremely limited access to capital. The World Bank report estimates that it will take $1 trillion every year until 2030 to end energy poverty around the world using this strategy. That is a lot of money. But what if we had a better way, a newer way, one that embraces 21st century technology and didn't require any new technology that doesn't exist already, just a little bit of development and adaptation? Now, some people might be scared by this, but consider this. If I gave you a pen and a piece of paper and said, I want you to design a phone. It can be anything you want it to be. How many people do you think would design a corded phone that plugs into your wall, which then has wires running all around the country to get people to talk to each other? No one. Everybody would be designing wireless phones or mobile phones. This is the same thing. We want to throw away the old electric utility infrastructure and embrace new technology. Let me show you what I mean. New technological developments apply to nearly every aspect of electrification. That being said, let's start with lighting. It's simple, incredibly easy to take it for granted, and equally easy to forget how much more productive we are because we have the ability to light our homes and offices. Traditionally, incandescent and fluorescent light bulbs are the staple of the lighting industry. However, a new technology, a DC-based technology, is poised to overthrow them. It's the LED light bulb. LEDs are much more efficient, they last longer, and use significantly lower voltage to operate. DC-powered lighting is just the start. Every great consumer product in recent memory is all based on DC technology. You might not realize this, but you're using DC technology right now. Yeah, you watching this video, you are using DC technology right now, and you use it every day. Sure, LED lights are DC technology, but so are so many other things. Your phone, your computer, your tablet, your microwave, your TV, your satellite systems, your car, anything with a battery, all DC technology. Now, what if we take all of this DC technology in the microchip revolution and apply it to social needs like energy poverty? We can come up with a better way of getting electricity to the people that do not have it. And here's how we're going to do it. Let's take a look at this. Technically, there is no reason why an entire house couldn't operate on DC power alone. In the US, unfortunately, this would be very expensive because of levels of investment, codes, and construction standards. But what if you didn't have a whole lot of investment? What if you didn't have a pre-existing electrical infrastructure? What you would have then is a blank sheet of paper. You would be unencumbered by the designs and practices of a previously developed electrical system and its methodologies. With this blank sheet of paper, why would you then go and design a corded phone? You would design a mobile or cellular phone today just like you would design a DC grid focused on efficiency today. Why DC grids? Well, let's start with a power source, solar panels. Let's say you wanted to put a solar panel on your house. A photovoltaic cell or a solar panel inherently make DC energy. So when you install the solar panel and plug it into your home, that energy has to get converted from DC to AC, which your house is wired for. Now, let's say you turn on the TV. Power comes out of the wall, gets converted again to DC, which is what you started with a solar panel, and then runs your TV or your computer. Now, these two conversions, you lose energy each time, and they're inefficient, and they add to the cost of consumer products. So what if you get rid of them? Let's embrace DC. I'll show you what I mean. Filling up that blank sheet of paper with a DC grid is a good start, but you're not done yet. You need to design it to a specific purpose. Consider this. The average American household uses 940 kilowatt hours per month. The top 20% use 1,600 kilowatt hours per month, and the top 1% use over 2,000 kilowatt hours per month. By contrast, the developing world paints an extremely different picture. Vietnam, for example, their average is only 30 kilowatt hours per month. Philippines is 65, Indonesia and Laos are both at 45, and South Africa, they only use, on average, 50 kilowatt hours per month. By initially designing and then building an electric infrastructure geared towards that 65 kilowatt hours per month number, which also allows you to add capacity as needed, instead of a system that can deliver over 2,000 kilowatt hours right out of the box, you save vast sums of initial capital, while reducing the time it takes to construct this infrastructure and still meet the needs of consumer populations. And, oh yeah, reduce energy poverty in a much more effective way. Finally, you would start with the consumer and then build back to the utility. Now, this is the exact opposite way that utilities have always built their grids. You would start with a microgrid, a solar panel, some lighting, an ability to charge DC-based devices like your cell phone, and a battery so you can store the energy. Then you would connect all of these microgrids together in a certain area, like a town or a village, and create a mini-grid. The next step is you connect all the mini-grids. And you can add more generation, which gives people more ability to run more items. And finally, you would connect it back to the utility. By starting with this multi-phase development plan, you get the initial benefits of lighting super quick for very, very cheap, and you can help start bringing communities up out of extreme poverty. By just giving them lighting and the ability to run a small DC device, crazy things start happening that you would never expect. For example, average time spent studying per month goes up. Average school completed goes up. Women's time spent at a job goes up a crazy amount. Average household income goes up, and your poverty goes down. This approach is one that utilities could really love. It's integratable to any current AC system. It has a quicker return on investment. It allows for more renewable energy sources to be included into the grid. It also eliminates the extremely high capital cost of building a power plant, transmission, and distribution lines, and it's low maintenance. Moreover, this is something that we could all love as human beings who care about other human beings. By starting with just a microgrid system that gives people lighting and use of a small DC device, we can help bring communities up through all these wonderful social impacts. And as you add to each stage, each community grows and gets stronger. And doing this, we can really make the world a brighter place, both literally and figuratively, for a fraction of the cost. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.